out of this conversation, we've gotten the whole idea of your culture shock, your fast culture shock, Jamhuri culture shock. So I want to also get to this fun part. When your next country that you traveled, do you remember carrying something that would remind you of being Kenyan?
Farmer's Choice sausages.
That was quick. You just
Listen,
spat
guys,
it out.
you don't know. Where's my camera? You don't know the value of a Kenyan sausage. Right? I pause. First of all, you don't know the value.
It's processed meat.
Pause, of processed meat of Kenyan sausages until you enter a country like England, where every sausage, pause again, tastes like just bland meat. Like when I carried Farmer's Choice sausages, I'll tell you this.
And this is for your trip to the UK.
I went to study. So a few years later, I went to the UK to do my master's. So
thank you.
I went to Queen Mary University of London. We'll discuss that slightly and what that meant.
No, actually, you can discuss it now.
Sure. So the idea was, I'd worked as a lawyer in Kenya for some time.
Right.
I'd sat across a lot of private equity professionals as they did deals. I asked myself, what is it that they can do that I can't?
Right.
And the answer was nothing. All I need to do is just educate myself. And so I decided to go do a master's in finance and law at Queen Mary in Uni of London, which was its own experience. But the sausages are what helped me bond a lot with the Kenyan diaspora. Because I went there and I said, I have Farmer's Choice sausages.
How many were you able to sneak in?
Listen.
Because we know if you're going to pass through Heathrow Airport with some meat, the dogs are going to pick that up.
I guess they didn't.
Did you freeze them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. That's the trick.
Yeah, so the dogs didn't pick it up. So I get into London with some sausages. The Kenyan diaspora.
With a suitcase full of sausages.
Not a suitcase, like 2 or 3 packs, like about 50. Like 2 or 3 packs. 1 pack is 25, so 2 or 3, like 75. So I say, hey, yeah, by the way, guys, I have sausages. What? From Nairobi? Wow, come over, we have a party.
I know. Kenyans
Thank
don't know.
you so much, because I went there and found like the most amazing Kenyan community.
Oh, that's
in London.
nice. Absolutely.
I had a time. Shout out to Thatched House. If you're watching this and you're in UK and you went to Thatched this weekend, think of me. And I spent a year in UK. We shot a season with Spotify UK in London.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to them for making that happen. And I had a billboard put up in Leicester Square.
Oh, wow.
So billboards all across the UK of our podcast. It was a really...
So was this the same podcast, Man Talk?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So imagine, yeah. So like we put from a barber shop in Ruaka to putting billboards in London. It was a hell of a story. I was so proud of myself, I remember.
I know what you're saying because the same thing happened to me. To see my film posters in cinemas in Massachusetts and Dallas, I was just like...
I was like...
The Kenyan dream is valid.
Blown away.
Right.
We brought that Kenyan flavor to local artists.
Oh, wow.
It was an amazing, amazing season.
I'm excited. I really want to get to the podcast, Man Talk, and how it started.
Sure.
But I want us to finish this. So you carried sausages.
Yes.
Anything else? You didn't carry a Masai shuka, stuff like that?
No. I'll even tell you. I carried sausages. Did I carry a Masai shuka? Of course, I had a Masai shuka in the suitcase. Of course, you have to have that.
And Masai key holder.
I had something like this, actually.
Yeah.
I had something like this in my suitcase. And then I had the Kenyan band. But mine was cut, unfortunately. It got cut, and there's another story there. But yes, then... Did I carry anything else? Any other Kenyan thing?
Kenyan tea?
I had an Ogopa DJ's t-shirt. Very important. Very important. Crucial. Part of the wardrobe, Ogopa. Shout out. And then I had Kericho Gold, 1 bag. But like it was, I fungad it in the corner. Right. I was so scared because I wasn't sure what was going to make it, what wasn't. As you can imagine, I'm already carrying a GDP.
Sausages. Yes.
Yeah, so it was a great time. And I connected with a lot of Kenyans because of and Royco. How can I forget?
Yeah, they're not branding us, but I guess Royco works.
I carried Royco, that's Mchuzi Mix.
Mchuzi Mix, yes.
Yeah, hapo hivyo. Aka. Unaona kwa pot. Because that meat is bland, guys.
I know.
That meat is bland. Like, you don't know how bad UK food is. Until you like that mchuzi mix and it changes the whole.
So my thing is, if I'm in London, I go and eat in Indian restaurants. That's my deal. Unless I'm looking for pastry.
Yeah.
Pastry, and then so I kind of created even like a
Yeah, food is
criteria.
bad.
If I'm traveling out, because I remember this one time we attended Cannes Festival, and
Oh, you're turning the can.
yes, and it was
Nice.
crazy. It was a brilliant experience. Of course, again, like African filmmakers were there in the background. They're not Lupita. But the thing that was quite sad about Cannes was food.
My friend.
Yeah, everything was just cheese flavored, and we just couldn't find spicy flavored food.
do you know what
And so at some point, we were all kind of getting constipated. And one of our seasoned travelers was like, we have to hit an Irish pub so that we can eat the Irish.
The sausage and the
No, the
mash.
Irish soup.
Really?
Because it's like mashakura.
Oh,
It's cabbages.
yeah.
Cabbages.
You didn't do bangers
carrots.
and mash in an Irish pub?
No.
Like the big sausages with like the mashed potatoes?
We just did meat soup, but it had the roughage that we needed,
Oh,
and that was
no.
helpful. So that was just the interesting thing.
Jesus.
So I kind of out of that, I was
We should
just
make
like,
a movie about that. I
know.
swear. Africans in Can would slap. Africans in Can would slap.
please reach out to me with the script.
Africans
so
in
what was
Cannes,
interesting
love.
about not traveling in Europe, I kind of created like a hierarchy of how I'm gonna hit restaurants,
Okay.
just so that my needs are met.
Okay.
So I was just like pastries, of course, go to the European restaurants and stuff. No one makes it better than them. But then hit an Indian restaurant.
Curries are important.
Yes,
Yeah.
curry. You get something close to chapati, all
Yeah.
that, the rice.
Naan.
You're good, the naan, and you also eat and you're full for long. You know what I'm saying? And then if there's nothing close to Indian, then you hit an Irish pub and you can get something close to what you know. So yeah, of course.
Hear me out. Now, this is my formula. You've
Okay.
shared yours. Mine, it's a very simple formula. We start with Pakistan. If we see Pakistani anywhere,
Are you kidding me? I've
Now
never actually
listen.
tried Pakistan food.
Pakistan. Why? The biryani will always slap. It's a guarantee.
Okay.
If that guy's name is Ali Noor,
Shout out
that
to
biryani
Pakistan.
is gonna change your life.
Okay.
So that's one. And they always have that thing. It's Kashmir. It's like this man, I forget its name. The red thing.
Okay, now I'm getting
cloves.
hungry.
Oh man, and cardamom. Oh man. Like they know biryani. Like we know they know Pakistan.
No, of course
one.
it comes from them, right?
India too. Now, India too. 3 that we don't talk about as much as Kenyan.
Italian.
Listen, Jamaican, rice and peas,
Oh, really?
oxtail.
But you're not going to
Jerk
find like
chicken.
Jamaican in cans. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, let me tell you, UK, that stall for Jamaican. Caribbean food was here, rice and peas, Kitu. And then it was like 10 pound. That guy, that mama fed me. I was
She
like,
fed you like an African mama.
she
But
knew.
But see, this is what I'm telling you. That's what I appreciate about the Africans diaspora. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a language we have.
Rice.
You know what I'm saying?
Rice, it sounds
She fed you like an African mama.
rice and peas. Guys, like it sounds like for it sounds like nothing. But
Right.
like for me, like that mama, on time, that 10 pound used to leave my wallet. It was the happiest 10 pound I ever spent. 10 pound. Then she's like, Oscar, for you, just for you, my love. I give you 20 pound with chicken. Anakata, jack palivo. Put some jack in it.
Right.
Oh my God. Like for me, shout out to Africans all over the world. If you're Afro-Latino, if you're black and you're watching this, I love you so much.
I know. And they're such a warm community. I met them in Yale.
Caribbean.
In the Yale University when I was screening my film. There was a Caribbean community. And I forget where they were from. I don't know whether it's Jamaica. No, they're from Jamaica. Where's Bob Marley from? Jamaica, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And they loved on me. They published my work on their newspaper, their local newspaper, the diaspora community. They took me and fed me that pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. And they were just like, it's like I had met Kenyans, an extended cousin.
Isn't that weird? Isn't it
But that's what I'm just
strange?
telling you. I am seeking out the African diaspora.
But how do we cook food the same way? Like for me, that was
because
why?
they all came from here, the motherland.
Yeah. The chicken. There's this thing. They're calling it tendonism. They're calling it. You used to do that thing like this. The chicken
It just falls off its bones. Yeah.
Take me back. Like, let me tell you. Shout out to you, Mama K. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Wherever you are in London, go to
So
Stanford
I
Station.
think what we are learning here
It's
is that
just-
we would love to come to Jamaica, Bahamas, any of those.
She was Trini,
Please
actually.
invite us,
Yeah,
right?
she was I'm from Trinidad. That's what she was
Oh
saying.
wow, that's cool. And I love the accent. I can't
She
mimic
was
it, but
amazing. So yeah, so like food was I didn't like when I adjusted, my food situation drastically improved. So I stopped suffering as much. But
you found something that was similar to home.
yes,
Okay,
but
I like that.
the unfortunate thing, and now I'll give you another thing I learned in London that was very tragic for me as an African. Like, you know,
Right.
especially as a Kenyan looking for opportunities. And it was, now there's this massive anti-immigration movement
Right.
where, okay, and this is going to hurt some people, but I'm just going to say it. The trouble that's happening in countries like the UK is that because the immigrant population is massive,
Right.
the immigrants came to go to school. You have to understand that when immigrants join a community, they educate themselves to the hilt.
Completely, because
Yeah.
they're going to be disadvantaged
Exactly.
if they don't have
if they
that.
don't, right?
Right.
So they're absolutely incentivized to educate themselves to the hilt.
Right.
Whereas people who come from generational wealth
Wealth.
within the same English infrastructure are reluctant to educate themselves to the same level.
Right.
So now, when a job application is coming through, and like Mr. Pradesh has a
master's,
bachelor's, a master's,
and even a PhD, right?
then he has work experience on top of it because he's not scared to do graft. He gets the job.
Right.
But then each seat that's filled by Mr. Pradesh is a seat that's not filled by Mr. Watson.
Right.
So Mr. Watson gets angry as he starts serving Mr. Pradesh soup as a waiter.
Right.
Right? And slowly over time, the political movement is formed towards this immigrant class who've worked hard to deserve being where they are. And maybe they didn't get they weren't born in the right race, or they're of different colors, but when it comes from a technical perspective, they're doing exceptionally well.
Right.
And so what I encountered when I finished university was that there was this massive reluctance to take up students from particular universities versus others, because the people from that universities were not elite.
Yes.
But I found that elitism was fundamentally Eurocentric idea.
Yes, absolutely.
That, the more pedigreed the institution, turns out when you go to that institution, the less the probability that it has culture.
All right, cool. I mean, I think you also have such a fascinating educational journey.
Yeah.
Do you want to kind of just touch on that?
Sure. Happy to. Yeah, happy to. To explain why I did what I did and the outcomes as well.
Right.
Especially coming back and the disappointments, because there have been.
Absolutely. And that we have to touch on because so let's just finish your education journey.
Sure.
And then Nancy, please make a note of that. That's important, the disappointments.
Okay, I'll do that. So it's me. So okay. So from a perspective of getting education in the UK, right? So there's this massive, and this is where that immigration question, there's a tie in here.
Right.
So when you go into a country to get educated, and there's a system that's in place that is already anti-immigration, right? And policies are already anti-immigration, but you're paying a school 26,000 to 30,000 pounds.
Absolutely.
Right?
Crazy money.
Exactly. You're paying them crazy money, but they can no longer guarantee your recruitment. Right? Because now the elite have decided that this educated immigrant population is skewing our country's politics to a point that we aren't comfortable with.
Absolutely.
So we have to basically disincentivize immigrants actually getting education here.
Right.
So when I went to the UK and then studied finance, which is itself an elitist profession.
Right.
You're dealing with money, you're dealing with immigrant population, and it doesn't want immigrants to come in and get the education they need to further themselves.
Right.
Then what inadvertently happens is that you're unable to actually get the high-paying jobs that you're supposed to be getting given your level of education.
Right.
Right? So, and because they've also developed knowledge that's meant to disincentivize Africans from going there. For example, there's this thing called target schools. These are the schools you need to know to get this particular job.
Right.
If you don't come from a target school, they don't even bother to look at your application.
Wow.
You see what I mean?
Right.
Which means that they are testing for you for background just as much as they're testing you for knowledge.
Right.
It's not about whether you have a first class or you're top in your class. We don't care about that. What we care about is, did you go to this school to get this job?
Right.
And that's something that's, again, meant to disenfranchise immigrant populations from getting high quality jobs. So it's really, really hurt when I was applying for jobs in the UK. Because the first question is, okay, do you have a visa here to work here?
Right.
Okay, to have a visa, what does it take? Oh, you need to pay £5,000 which is 600,000 shillings.
Right.
On top of the 10,000, 20,000 pounds you've paid for your education.
Yes.
Then on top of that, not only are you meant to do that, you're also meant to know the right people. You're meant to drink the coffees. You're meant to live the lifestyle. I was like, there's no way as a Kenyan I can thrive in this environment. Because for me to get those opportunities, I'd have to start from scratch.
Right.
So yeah, completely broke my
And
heart.
at that time, because you were doing your master's,
Exactly.
right? You are more mature.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's just didn't work in terms of me settling in the UK. But the biggest advantage that I got is we went to class. So we were lawyers trying to transition into finance, which
Right.
is you're learning a fundamentally quantitative aspect of business.
Right.
You come from a qualitative aspect. You know contracts, you know agreements,
Which I think is quite helpful.
which is, yes, it's a very powerful tool to have. But in a transaction room, you want to be well-rounded. I can do deals in a 360 way. I can look at contracts and I can build financial models and I can deploy capital. So
Wow.
before I enter, when I say I'm buying a business, I know the contractual, I can do legal due diligence on that business as well as financial due diligence. And then I can also structure valuation of that business and then plan an exit, which is
Right.
like the entire track of an investment. Right?
Absolutely.
So that was the skill that I went there to get. Luckily, I wasn't the only one who saw the world that way. Funny enough, there was 2 other Africans who are seeing the world that way. One guy is called Zach from Namibia, from Southern Africa. And a guy is called Raphael from Ghana, who immigrated into Denmark.
Shout out to Africans.
Yeah, so
Tell
now
you.
you're seeing. So in our class of 70 students who are doing a master's in law and finance, the only 3 who are like, dude, like there's a massive opportunity here for us to like carve out something that's never been done before.
Right.
Were the 3 Africans. We worked like dogs to understand finance. Like absolute Saturday group work. Then and then we're sharing our stories as we're doing the work. So till now, they're a motivational factor for me. Like when someone
Absolutely.
comes and sits down and tells me, Oscar, why not do podcasting full time? Like it's making money, it's making sense. Why stop that? I'm like, but I still remember those cold nights with these 2 other Africans when we were learning out what the hell is a Black-Scholes formula.
I have no
I
idea
know,
what
like,
that is.
Yeah, a lot of guys in investments, like that's like it's hardcore mathematics
Right.
that you have to know to actually be able to work in the sector. But like me and these 2 lawyers are trying to get into this investment world. We need to know how to read financial statements. We've never seen a balance sheet in our life. We're lawyers. We don't know what an income statement looks like. We're lawyers. So we had to
Right.
figure that out. What's EBITDA? What's that? Like, so all this, like that investment logic had to be learnt in one compact year. At the same time, we're studying law because it was a
Wow.
double degree. So we are going for law classes, mergers and acquisitions agreements. What is a MAC clause? What is this? What is that? So like blood, sweat, tears, and
A lot of
econometrics.
tears.
And econometrics. Because I don't know, I passed that, it's blood Jesus. So you see, like, stuff like that, that challenging yourself in a room full of other Africans who are like me and who had that
Right.
perspective, it brought that Africanness together. That's the African Kwame Nkrumah died for.
Right, absolutely.
yeah.
And, I always, I because I have really traveled across Africa, I always say to other Africans that there are enough resources for all of us. Like, if you understand how vast these countries are, how rich these countries are, you're like, you should not have really the fear of open borders, because if it's controlled and if it's, you know what I'm saying, that this tool allows us to really have value in terms of moving our goods, moving our services across Africa to a similar market.
Yes.
So you're telling me, instead of just, the Man Talk podcast that you have, that you're targeting about 33 million Kenyans, you can open it up and say, I'm actually
5 billion
Yes,
Africans.
to 5 billion male Africans.
Imagine.
Wouldn't that be transformative for your life?
Imagine that.
And that's what I keep saying. I'm just like, just this myopic mindset that we have, that, I'm Kenyan and that's all I am. I'm just like, it's actually a disadvantage
Imagine
to you.
if our podcasts were translated in French. Just that.
Okay.
Like, just that. Like,
Oui.
oui.
Yeah.
J'adore Rwanda, baby. So you see, like, just that whole, man, just the vision. Like, it's it's a real challenge. Like, and it's
Yes.
amazing that, you know, podcasts.
I think
like
it's
yourself are-
intentional
yeah.
because for me, if you see the value that happens when we actually begin speaking about this Pan-African unity and this Pan-African access and why we've been denied it or why there are so many blocks to it, it's intentional for me.
is.
Because, of course, the gains of having access to that is very beneficial to each and every African.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back to schooling. And so you finished the UK with your master's in law and finance. That's amazing.
Yes. And then I came to Kenya. Guess what I found?
And then you returned to Kenya. We have to say that with a high note.
Yes. It's not as high when I tell you what happened. Hey, it's a high note for now.
All right,
But
cool.
I came back to an economy that
Right.
had just found out that bottom up might have meant bottom down. Bottoms down. And what that means is that job creation is a struggle for the. I don't know if you've sat down and looked at job creation in Kenya in the Kibaki days.
Right.
What was the number? It was about 40,000 jobs. We were doing out about 40,000 jobs
Right.
back in the Kibaki days. Kenya is now doing about 16,000 jobs a year.
That is sad.
Yeah, with a higher GDP, which is even the mystery.
Yes.
So we are our economy is expanding, but we're not creating enough jobs for the youth. Now, what does that mean? It means that when a Kenyan comes back from the UK with a master's in finance and law and goes to look for jobs, the economy doesn't understand what it's looking at.
Right.
Like they're like, but you're a lawyer, you want to do finance. I don't care if you have a master's in finance. We do investments here, but I don't trust that. If you're coming, you have to come at a discount. So for a huge time in my career, especially early days, I had to work at a discount to what my actual value is. So I was
Yes.
fundamentally underemployed so that I could gain experience in the sector. And then I got lucky enough to join a fund where at least things managed to stabilize. But you can imagine how much money I've spent already.
I know.
And then I'm spending time and energy. I always tell Alex the story of, I was in Regent Street on Monday. I was in Narok speaking to cow herders on Friday
Wow.
for work. So because you're thinking when you do this master's degree is that you're going to be serving, you know, maybe this mega investor guy who's
Right.
like a billionaire buying a power plant or building a road. But then God's plan for you is no. There's a guy in Maasai land called Ole.
Ole Sape.
I'm about to use his real name. Anyway, I won't use his real name. There's a Maasai elder who has 1,000 acres and needs a solar pump. And that person is where God has sent you to be. It is not the Regent Street of London where you have been
Right.
walking and seeing skies. No. Go and listen to Ole mzee akikwambia, unaona mimi nataka 10 acres hapa. Nataka uweke pump hapa na pale. Ng'ombe ikunywe maji na nipande hapa nyanya. That was the purpose of my master's. The purpose of my master's was not to enter Canary Wharf where I was there thinking that's where I was going to be.
I know. I can completely relate. My studies in film saying
Yeah.
I thought it's going to lead me straight to Hollywood doors.
No.
And I got to Santa Monica after doing my internship, and God was like, yo, get back to Africa.
Yeah.
That's where I want you to build the film.
My master's sent me from those nice streets and the stuff I was just telling you about into, I used to take the ENA coach to go to Homa Bay because at that time I was working for a venture studio and we were trying to build out a solar pumping business.
Right.
Solar irrigation business. And I thought that my master's degree would send me to like Wall Street, Canary Wharf, but here I was in Homa Bay, in a part of Kenya I'd never been, negotiating with old men about how we can sell them solar pumps and drip their produce and take it to market.
Wow.
Confused the hell out of me. I was at that point I was even angry with God. So this is a Christian podcast.
Right.
I was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, how the hell could this have happened? What? And it was just that whole situation of, you know, you don't really appreciate truly what's in front of you until you have to actually acquiesce yourself and define value differently. Because the way we've been educated to define value is this very Eurocentric value.
And it's just even Eurocentric, and now with the internet, it's just fame driven and it's money. And it's just fame, money, more fame, more money, more fame, more money. And I think the experiences in life that don't give you fame or money, but they are so crucial.
The funny thing is that if I didn't do those things, I would not have the job I have now.
That's what I'm saying. They're so fundamental
exactly.
to the next
step. Because
Yes.
you see now when I go and sit down with, there's a business we've just invested in Uganda, right? They'll be probably some announcements at some point. And that business is a refugee business in northern Uganda, bordering southern Sudan. The founder is an amazing founder. He's built out an agribusiness that includes nearly 10,000. I think the number is 5,000. 5,000 refugee farmers.
Wow.
Planting crops, feeding families from the trauma of southern Sudan. Now, that's not something that a guy from Wall Street will see or even understand.
Absolutely.
Or someone from Canary Wharf will even understand. So that's, when I saw that, like, I started to slowly understand, so God is really like, nah, my guy, like, value isn't there. Value is here. It's here in assisting these people to be able to live a higher quality of life, in actually uplifting an economy where it's needed, where your talents and skills actually needed.
Absolutely. Yes.
Isn't in buying the next media business and rolling it up and scaling that and then selling it back to Fox or Netflix now.
Yeah.
Like, for you as an African, there's low-key a duty to invest back into those communities that have managed to, that might cement your legacy into something that lasts forever. So that's the debate. Even currently in my career, I'm still having, which is it more beneficial to work on programs and projects and ideas that actually change people's lives? Or is it more beneficial for me as a young man to chase money, then do that later? It's a debate.
I mean, I think you can do both. I think you can do both. Because definitely to uplift a community, you need money. So that's always like somewhere in my mind. I'm like, you really love doing humanitarian work, or you really like the idea of uplifting people. I say, I love it. Then I understand, then I must continue getting the fish, because, you can't feed them, what do you call them, motivational speech.
But it goes back to the question, does capitalism itself manufacture poverty? Given these are also people who deserve high qualities of life.
Right.
Is this concept that we're holding on of like one bag of maize equals to $10, and that dollar is 100 times stronger than your actual currency? Is this...
I mean, if we go down that rabbit hole...
Is this system really what we are doing as Africans? Like, now that's the question I'm saying.
And I love it. I mean, I think it's a deeper critical thinking space that you have to be in, because for me, I think more kingdom. I think it evolves, and I think I cannot probably solve all the problems in the world, but that which I have been called to, have I filled that? Yes. You know what I'm saying? And I always say that because if each person really did that, then we would really change the world. So the whole idea of where you have a demagogic figure who is now feeding, 5 billion people, I feel that's faulty.
Yes.
But if each and every person had their 5 people assigned to, that you are committed in terms of empowering them, would see change. And so that's kind of the mindset I work. I'm like, in this space that I am, the people around me, the helps, the who, am I empowering them? Am I? And I'm like, I've done my part. Then everyone else.
Is that the problem? That's the thing now.
It's not the problem. It's just part of how I feel I can solve the problem.
The both of us are thinking that way, where we're saying if you can do things at a micro level and everybody does the thing
absolutely
level, there will be macro changes.
Yes.
But the question that I'm asking myself is, but what if the problem is systemic? What if the problem is fundamentally $1 is equals to 100 of your shillings? So
then I'm really praying that God gives you an empowerment to change that.
Think about it.
No, I get you.
Why are we as Africans the ones who? Why is it not 100 shillings is equals to $1?
And I think those are really critical questions to ask. And this is why I feel some of the problems you have in Africa. You see, now you're asking that as a Kenyan, one Kenyan. Uh-huh. Now, what if that same thinking filled 5 billion people in the continent?
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? And that's why for me, I call myself a Christian Pan-Africanist. Yes. Because I feel there are things that completely evolved from my faith. Uh-huh. But because God gave me the privilege of being an African, I'm like, there's certain things that Africa cannot perceive or will not see in our isolated states.
Yes.
That it's so crucial for us to be united.
Yes.
Because in us being united, then we can voice these things.
Yes.
Because if you're going to stand to the world powers, and you're standing as Kenya saying, oh, why is this and this? This is like, who are you? You're 30 million people. We don't care.
Yes.
But if you stand with 4 billion people and you're like, hey, we want to question why our currencies are so devalued,
Yes.
and yet we have the minerals and stuff, then that's a point where they go like, oh, okay, we can listen.
No, there's no listening.
I mean, or we can negotiate better because we'll close out our markets, which is, I'm saying we can close out your companies from accessing 4 billion people.
Now,
So it changes
that is the real Jamhuri. See the Jamhuri now. Now you have come closer to Jamhuri. My Jamhuri is that, which is the question platforms like this that are focused on African independence should ask is this. One, we are now fastest growing population on earth is Africa.
Right.
The most youthful population on earth is African.
Absolutely.
Does the global system now, as written by economists, make sense for Africa?
Doesn't.
Thank you. It's just that simple. What can we do about it?
And you are like spot on. And this is why I say until...
When did we decide to be the sons of Cain? Because we are biblical.
I know, but
Why are we the sons?
That's not biblical. That's someone using Bible to manipulate.
Think about it this way. Like, we Africans have the ones who've suffered the most slavery.
Yes.
Right? We have suffered colonialism. Yet we are the ones who can produce most of the actual food, minerals out of the soil. And yet now, with technology and the leapfrogging of it, we now have access to all of the knowledge that we didn't have previously.
Right.
Right?
Or we had and it was
Exactly.
suppressed because we built the pyramids and
now
stuff.
you can see even politics is struggling. Yeah, they're shutting off internet.
Right.
Yeah, politicians are struggling to maintain the world order as it was before.
Absolutely.
What does that new world order look like with an Africa that has made its renaissance? And that's the question I want to pose to all the other guests. The next guest, when he comes and sits on this chair, should answer that question of like, okay, now
we're going to bring you back and you can talk on that. And so I want to push you forward because I mean, and you're really covering what I really think when I think as a Jamhuri.
Yes.
And because I think belong to your tribe, belong to Kenya, belong to the Africa, belong as a global citizen.
Exactly.
And you have to wear all those
hats
or those identities, understanding that wearing one where you're just like, oh, I belong in this village and I'm just going to, I'm like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
The world is coming to you.
Yes.
You know, I'm like, I keep telling, when I'm talking to my friends, I'm like, borders are shifting. You know, I remember there's a time when my parents, were trying to invest in Nairobi. They were being told Nairobi is Maasai land. I'm like, now, where are those people to tell
Imagine.
you? It's nothing close. It's nothing to what it was when they were growing up. It's such a melting point. I mean, I live in a community where they're like Congolese, Burundians. They're like, all these people are existing in this Nairobi city that was once what? Maasai land. And I'm like, these things, this same melting point is coming to your village.
Imagine.
So you prep yourself on how you're going to be on the advantage space. Because I feel many times the idea that we are local, the entitlement that I am a Kenyan and I'll forever be a Kenyan, and you're not pursuing opportunities or being an active citizen, is that you don't understand you're going to be a disadvantaged citizen. And I think for me, it's sad because when I see like South Africa and I see especially like Cape Town, I'm just like, the local people are so disadvantaged to the system itself. You know, anyway, that's a side chat. So back to you. I think what I love about this is because you have such diverse, or what do you call it? Your experiences are so deep. And so in terms of pulling out questions from you, it's like, we probably need like 5 episodes. So this is why we're doing all the bunny trails, but we're getting somewhere. So I just want to touch on what I think really inspired me was the man talk. Because I think when you're talking about African men, when we're talking about mental health, when we're talking about just African men evolving to be better than what was given to them, it's like, what is it, So just do you want to touch on that?
The key concept around man talk is we have to redefine masculinity in Africa in a way that makes men feel more free.
I love that.
So freedom is the underpinning of the work that we're doing, which is, we think that freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of economic opportunity, even that is something that we will be affected.
Absolutely.
So is something that should be at front and center of the modern African man,
Right.
right? And so for so long, and this is something that we have done subtly, but now I am now going to be more vocal about. For so long, we have been trying to break barriers around what the African man looks, feels, and sounds like.
Right.
Like the African man was never thought to be as eloquent. The African man has never been thought of being as globally competitive.
Yes.
The African man has not even been thought of as inclusive. In fact, on our podcast, you'll hear me being accused of being a traditional misogynistic Meru man.
Oh, really?
Yes, because again, it's a precept that some people have come with and have projected onto our platform.
Right.
But you see, now when you sit down and have a conversation with me, that idea quickly escapes the brain.
Right.
And you find yourself and ourselves, we find ourselves in a discourse that is much more, I'll say it with deeper, and that has many more, I'd say, historical roots. And to get to that, where we are saying, we are communicating the idea of what masculinity must look and feel like moving forward, we've built this podcast that fields all sorts of conversations, from the Sauti Souls to people fighting period poverty.
Right.
Came on the podcast and taught us how to use pads, which was a fun episode.
For men.
Yeah, imagine. I was shown how to like
To help your lady, right?
like,
Okay.
yes, or my daughter.
Or your daughter, yes,
stuff like that.
absolutely, yes.
So it's breaking down these cultural barriers that have no strand or no real underpinning except our own limitedness.
Absolutely. I love that. You want to just take that again?
Yeah. So So basically we are trying to break barriers that have been imposed on us by society due to our own limitedness.
Right.
So how we define an African man has to change.
Right.
Like in that the philosophy of what it is to be a man, the ideology of what it is to be a man, so that we can be able to move forward as a continent. That's the thinking I have. I think that we need to look at African men as being more than this traditional boring concept.
Yes, who has no emotion other than anger and laughter once in a while.
Once in a while is polygamous and misogynistic animal. No, he reads Plato. I'm shocked to tell you, the African man reads Plato. The African man reads Kwame Nkrumah. The African man reads Wole Soyinka. The African man reads Chimamanda. On top of that, the African man also knows how to build a financial model.
Right.
He can also draft a law. The African man is many things.
Yes, I love that.
And he makes music and he does this. So
and he rides bikes. He just doesn't have to chill in a bar the whole day drinking.
And you might be shocked. He speaks Chinese, maybe a little bit of German.
Absolutely.
Or my Ghanaian friend who's fluent in Danish. So the understanding of who we are as Africans, we're challenging that using the podcast.
Awesome.
And we're going to continue to challenge that, and we're expanding more now. I think there's more interesting things we'll do, more places where thought can exist, like magazines, and like there's work that we're now putting into that, where we can now say, okay, I think we have a direction, and that's the direction that we'll follow.
I love that. And I just want to touch on this Man Talk podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You started, it had its humble beginnings.
Yes.
And I want to share on that because I feel we're in a generation that is, like if you're not viral, then you're not impactful,
Mm-hmm.
And there's the whole thing I always say, before you see the lights, there is a lot of sweating bricks and tears that has been done behind the scenes. And I don't think you're necessarily gonna skip that step just because right now you can take a camera, quote unquote, and put your content on TikTok, you know what I'm saying? Or put your content out on Instagram, whatever platform you have. Like growth is important, and embracing the little steps, knowing that they build to the bigger picture is such an important thing. So I want you to touch on that, how you started it in Ruaka with lapel mics, and how you built it to a point where you were even able to get a Spotify grant and even be able to get, your billboards out in Europe talking about a podcast that is organically grown, organically started.
Homegrown,
It's homegrown. It's homegrown, right?
I think here's this is gonna surprise you. I joined Man Talk on episode 3.
Right.
I was there when it was ideated because I was back then. I had a friend who had started a barbershop,
Right.
and he started the podcast with Eli and a guy called Martin. His name is Nick. And I told him, look, Nick, use this podcast idea to grow your barbershop business, because I used to give him legal advice for that. And then I didn't have social media. This was August of 2019. Didn't have an Instagram page.
Right.
So then I come on episode 3. I sit down, we shoot a podcast. The guys are like, oh my God, you're very eloquent. You really know what you want. Do you mind joining us? And I said, fine. So I joined Mantalk in 2019.
Wow.
And then we took over the business in October. So we came in August, took over the business in October, and Eli and I have been working on it since then. So Mantalk officially became me and Eli about the first episode dropped in March of 2020. We registered it as a business, started the work, and we both sat down and said, okay, we have this view of masculinity that we think needs to change. I think these conversations that need to be had, and podcasting is a thing in Africa that's going to be really, really big soon.
Right.
Right? And this is 7 years ago. This is in 2019. 2019. So it's 6 years ago. So we start the work. It goes extremely well. We get surprised at the reactions that we're getting.
Wow.
Everyone's like, open up the podcast more. So we open the podcast more to have more conversations with more powerful people. We work with influencers, content creators. I've had a conversation with a soldier who lost his leg in Afghanistan.
Wow.
It's in the podcast. But here's the thing I'm going to tell you that is a bit disappointing for me.
What?
See the sentence you just made about viral being impactful?
Right.
Unfortunately.
It's not. It doesn't translate to the dollars.
You know me, I'm here to tell you the truth.
Right.
The best episode I ever had on Man Talk was one of the most authentic stories is the soldier
Right. Who lost his leg.
who lost his leg.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the worst performing episodes we have. The best performing episodes we have are the ones when we bring influencers and content creators. And it's amazing. They have great stories. But the real gems,
Right.
you have to really know our Man Talk products to really get to them.